what you're thinking. What day of the week is it? Well, unless you've been living under a rock the last couple of days, you would realize that Steve Burton is coming back to General Hospital. But wait, there's more. Rebecca Budig is leaving General Hospital. One topic at a time though. So in terms of Steve Burton, we got like an ominous tweet from a soap news guru, and the fandom went freaking nuts. And then the next day during General Hospital's commercials, we got this promo. And the fandom went even more nuts! And as a longtime fan of the show, I thought I would share my opinion with you guys, and I am curious to what your opinion is as well. But before we get to my opinion about that, I mean, we gotta weigh out what's going on here. We know that Steve Burton is returning. We don't know how long he's returning. We don't know if he's even playing Jason. We don't know if he's gonna be a hallucination. We don't know. There are many ways that this Steve Burton return could play out, and if you've watched General Hospital as long as I have, if not longer, everything I'm about to say is gonna sound a little bit familiar and probably a possibility. Steve Burton could be coming back as Jason Morgan full time, and Billy Miller might get the boot. Something very similar happened when Jonathan Jackson decided to come back to the show. They literally just kicked Greg Vaughn to the curb, and not in a nice way. They actually told him, after he had already finished his last scene, that he would no longer be playing Lucky Spencer. Mind you, with the story that Jason currently has, or has had in the past few years, it's gonna be hard to pull that switch, so maybe we could rule that out. Secondly, Steve Burton could be coming back as a brand new character. Just ask Michael Easton, who's played, what, 3 characters on the show now? Or is it 4?
You seem a little peaked.
Sarah Brown, who originally played Carly, came back as a character named Claudia Zakara a few years ago.
You look familiar. I get that a lot.
All the same, Steve Burton / OG Jason fans are very passionate, and I'm pretty sure that would just piss a lot of people off. Possibility number 3, Steve Burton could be coming back as a hallucination / flashback of Jason Morgan. We all know that Sam Morgan is going through a bit of a crisis at the moment. She is having hallucinations, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that she could be seeing the old Jason in some way, shape, or form. GH is pretty notorious for having that kind of flashback / hallucination scenario on the show. Or they could have Steve Burton and Billy Miller playing Jason Morgan on the same episode at the same time. There was that one time that they had 3 Carlys in one episode. The truth is, we know so little about this that we can't really tell which way things are gonna go. Regardless, this news left the whole fandom shooketh. If you guys have been watching my after show, you would know that I am a total JSAM fan. And fun fact for anyone watching this that may not know, I have been in the General Hospital fandom online for years in other capacities. You might have known me as Envious01 on YouTube once upon a time. I'm also still Envious01 on Soap Central, hence the name GH Envy. The more you know. I've been watching General Hospital for a little over 10 years now, and I went through the worst of the Robert Guzzo days. Robert Guzzo, of course, was one of the writers back in, well, he was a writer for a long time, and it was no secret that he had a mad hard-on for Steve Burton and Jason Morgan, let me tell you. And while I personally had some love for Steve Burton because of who his character was, who his family ties were, the storylines that he was a part of when he was younger, the last few years of Guzzo kind of ruined Jason for me. He was practically on every day, he was basically featured in every storyline, he was the hero in every single crisis even when it didn't make sense for him to be in the story. And let me tell you that definitely weighed on me. And I'm not gonna lie, when I found out that Steve Burton was leaving the show, I was so happy about it. That being said, I liked OG Jason and Sam. Like 2009 was the year for me. They were a believable and lovable couple. I liked Jason in waves. I liked him with Sam. Not so much in every other storyline in existence on the show. And just full disclosure, I don't hate Steve Burton at all. Most of that era was Guzzo to blame and Jill Phelps. And it's a super exciting time for the show for him to be back in some way, whatever way it's going to be. That being said, I've also really enjoyed Billy Miller's time as Jason Morgan so far. I think everyone can agree that Jason Morgan, played by Steve Burton, was stone cold, hence the nickname as per Spinelli. But Billy Miller finally giving Jason some personality was a breath of fresh air. And it's not to say that Steve Burton can't play Jason with the personality, but if they do end up doing a switcheroo, there are things that I'm going to be sad about. Mainly, and y'all know that I love this, Jason and Curtis's bromance that's going on. I think everyone knows that if Steve Burton were to come back as Jason Morgan permanently, it's going to be Jason and Sunny together forever again. The history is there, the chemistry is there, and I'll admit the chemistry is definitely not the same between Billy Miller and Maurice Bernard, but I was okay with the changes. So I'm torn about this, to be honest. Another thing I'm worried about is if Steve Burton ends up coming back on a full-time basis what kind of wacky doodle storyline we're gonna have to listen to for the next few months. Jason's story from the time of his death till this point has been very shaky at best. Things have changed everywhere. What we knew when we found out Jason was alive was that he was in a coma and Robin brought him out of it after a year of being kidnapped. Then we found out that Jake was being held captive on Cassadine Island and wasn't really dead, though we didn't find out how Helena did it because not even the writers could explain that one. So they just conveniently swept that part under the rug. And then when Jason and Robin made their escape, he got ran over and his face got ruined and he had to have reconstructive surgery. He lost his memory, became Jake Doe and all that madness. Eventually he got all of his memories back, and then they lowered the boom that, oh, Jason wasn't actually in a coma, he was actually on the Cassadine Island with his son the whole time. Oops, plot hole. Helena was doing some weird voodoo mind control on him. I mean, we all know that with Helena Cassadine, anything is possible. I just don't think a tale of two Jasons is what I want to see. There's too many factors here, and I don't think I particularly want to watch that. So if I'm being completely honest, I would much rather have Steve Burton coming on as a cameo for a few episodes, just to have Sam deal with whatever she's facing right now, and then just be done with it. From what I know about Steve, I'm pretty sure he has some successful restaurants and businesses going on. So personally, I don't see him coming back to the show on a full-time basis anyway. But I could be wrong, because when Steve Burton left GH, he said that he was going to take some time to be with his family, and not 2 seconds later he was suddenly on Young and the Restless. So, who knows? So my question for you guys is, what do you think of the news that Steve Burton is coming back? Do you want Steve Burton back as Jason Morgan? Do you want Billy Miller to still play Jason Morgan? Do you want to sit through a wild story to have them try to explain this? Although, to be honest, I don't really trust the writers to make something make sense out of this. Or are you okay with him playing a new character? Let me know in the comments below or on my Tumblr page. Now quickly on to Rebecca Budig. Listen, I love Hayden so much, and I never thought, if you asked me that when she first came on the show, that I would say that. I really love this damn girl, and I have become a total shipper diehard of her and Finn. And shortly after the news that the character is pregnant, boom, she's leaving the show before she's gonna have the baby. And I think that's scaring a lot of Hayden fans, because is she gonna lose the baby? Are we gonna lose both Finn and Hayden? I am genuinely upset about this. Also, they just gave Liz a family member after all these years, and now they're booting her off? Come on, how do you think they'll write her off the show? All I know is that she better not die. So yeah, those were my thoughts on Steve's return and Rebecca's exit. If you guys liked this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel if you want to. I usually do these videos every Sunday or Monday morning. I do try for Sundays, but clearly this casting news deserved a blog in itself. So I will see you guys with my review of General Hospital at the end of the week. Bye now.
Nice. Is it on my boots?